Now let's delve into the most pressing geopolitical issues shaping our region and the world. Today we turn our attention to the volatile dynamics between Pakistan and Afghanistan, a relationship fraught with historical tensions, unresolved disputes and emerging challenges. Today we have with us Deepankar Sen Gupta, a geopolitical expert and professor of economics at the University of Jammu, with extensive insights into South Asian affairs. Professor Sen Gupta, thank you for being with us today. Let's begin with the latest developments. Pakistan has recently carried out airstrikes in Afghanistan, claiming to target TTP hideouts. Professor Sen Gupta, how effective have these operations been in reducing the TTP threat? And do you believe they are addressing the root causes of militancy?
Look, if air power had been sufficient to curb elements like the TTP, forces like the TTP, then the United States would have destroyed the Taliban in Afghanistan a long time ago. The Americans failed to do so because if you look at the Taliban, it's an amorphous organization. It is spread all over the ground. It is not conventional. It is not concentrated anywhere. And the same is true for the TTP. So when you are not concentrated anywhere, when you do not rely on hard infrastructure or mobile infrastructure like tanks, etc., to carry out warfare, then the use of air power, I think, is irrelevant. If the Americans could not control the Taliban, the Pakistan will not be able to control the TTP through the use of air power.
Shifting our focus to a decades-old issue, the Durand Line remains a major point of contention. How does this unresolved border dispute exacerbate current relations between Pakistan and Afghanistan, especially given the heightened clashes along key crossings like Turkham and Chaman?
You must remember one thing. Pakistan had a golden opportunity to settle its Afghan border in 1987 when the Geneva Accords signed between it and Afghanistan, among other countries, guaranteed the Durand Line. The Durand Line's legitimacy was upheld by that particular agreement. But Pakistan did not accept that agreement in good faith. It kept on torpedoing the only government that was capable of upholding the Durand Line and enforcing the Durand Line. That is the government of Najibullah. After the government of Najibullah fell in 1992, aided and abetted by the Americans and the Pakistanis, there has been no government in Afghanistan capable or inclined to uphold the Durand Line as an international border. For the Taliban, which has control, they are Pashtuns. For them, the Durand Line is an arbitrary line that divides Pashtuns. It is impossible for the Taliban to accept the Durand Line as an international border. So this is a problem that Pakistan could have solved as early as 1987. They chose not to do so, and now they are left holding the consequences.
Speaking of these border tensions, Pakistan's military aggression, including incidents of firing on Afghan construction efforts, has drawn international attention. What impact do such actions have on bilateral relations and regional stability?
See, in a sense, you can say that the Pakistan's firing at the borders is justified because when your enemy undertakes action, you are expected to retaliate. Now, you may argue that Pakistan's army's retaliation in these particular areas were actually useless. They served no purpose except to make the Taliban even more aggressive. Now, this is a kind of behavior Pakistan itself has encouraged. Whenever Taliban would go on the offensive, the then Afghan government, the legitimate Afghan government, was supposed to hold back. So this is a kind of behavior that the Taliban has gotten used to, be it the Afghan Taliban or the TTP. The TTP expects that when it carries out its operations, the response should not be commensurate. Where have they got this feeling from? They have got this feeling from Pakistan's own conduct during the last 20 years, where they helped topple the legitimate government of Afghanistan. So Pakistan is living with a problem that is of its own creation.
Professor Sen Gupta, Pakistan's support for the Taliban during the US-led war in Afghanistan was considered a strategic move. But today it seems to have backfired. Do you think Islamabad underestimated the long-term consequences of this strategy?
Pakistan's problem is They think some tactical advances are leading to strategic victory without knowing the long-term consequences of what they are supporting. Pakistan lives from day to day, year to year, month to month. They do not think long-term. And this inability to think long-term has created all this problem. What did Pakistan do? It created Taliban, it supported Taliban, it encouraged Taliban, it gave space to Taliban. As Hillary Clinton said, you cannot keep snakes in your backyard and not expect them to bite you at some time or the other. And this is exactly what has happened. Pakistan believed that the Taliban would do their bidding. Impossible. The Taliban have used the Pakistanis to get what they wanted. Having got what they wanted, why do they need the Pakistanis for? Because if they want trade and transit, the Taliban are now maintaining good relations with Iran, which was not the case in the earlier Taliban regime from 96 to 2001. So they are getting trade and transit issues with Central Asia, with Iran. They have no desire or no incentive to keep these relations with Pakistan, because Pakistan believed that the Taliban would do their bidding. Anybody who was familiar with the character of the Taliban movement knew that this was not going to happen. And that is exactly what has happened. So Taliban, again, is a creation of the Pakistanis, and the Pakistanis are now left with a problem that they have nurtured for the last 40 to 50 years.
So thank you for shedding light on the evolving dynamics of Pakistan-Afghanistan relations. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for calling me.